Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vincent Sanglay and this is my TOK presentation. Now before I begin, let's watch this short clip of some angry fellows.
Those stinking pigs! I hate those pigs! I'm so angry at those pigs!
I'm so angry, I could just smash them into bacon bits.
I don't know what to say. We were just really angry at them. I don't think of myself as a bigot, but when it comes to pigs, we've always just hated them.
Hey, birds! You think you're so awesome. You're nothing. That slingshot's just for show. They think they're so cool, 'cause they can fly, and 'cause they can regulate their body temperature without soaking in mud. But really, they're just omelets with wings. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we're not gonna let you talk to us that way.
Pigs, prepare to feel my wrath.
Yeah, bring it on.
You're gonna regret messing with this one seriously angry bird!
Where is he? What's going on?
I thought I was angry, but when I saw that helpless little blind piggy, all that anger just flew away. I guess I just realized that I don't have to be angry, that it's actually a choice. Pretty deep for a brain the size of a jelly bean, huh?
What happened? Where's that angry bird?
Oh, he flew the coop. Here, let me help you down before those nasty birds come back. And the rest is history. Birds and pigs put their anger aside and lived in harmony, working together to build complex machines for blind pigs to get around easier.
Notice how the angry bird said, I guess I just realized that I don't have to be angry, that it's actually a choice. Now, this implies that emotions such as anger in this situation can be controlled and that a person, or in this case an angry bird, can choose what emotion to feel or not feel. Which leads to my question, to what extent can we control our emotions and feelings? Now, in relation to the video I just showed you, let's put this into an actual real-life situation. Let's say you are confronted by a person who you deeply dislike. The person continuously insults you and you feel your own rage and anger building up. Instead of counterattacking, you muster all the spiritual benevolence you can, take a deep breath, and walk away from the situation. Scenarios similar to this are important to a type of psychotherapy known as cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is based on the cognitive model, which states that thoughts, feelings, and behavior are all connected and that individuals can move toward overcoming difficulties and meeting their goals by identifying and changing unhelpful or inaccurate thinking, problematic behavior, and distressing emotional responses. To put this into simpler terms, your emotions all depend on how you interpret your situation, which means that you can change your behavior to control or change your emotions. This aspect of cognitive therapy also applies to a theory known as the total control theory of emotions. Basically, this theory claims that in any situation you have complete control and flexibility in how you respond and that your behavior influences your emotions. Both cognitive therapy and the total control theory of emotions revolve around behavior influencing emotion. It also seems like they both revolve around self-control. For example, recall back to the scenario I had explained earlier in the video. Someone insulted you and you have the choice of either retaliating back or ignoring the situation. Obviously, it is much easier to retaliate back and take much more self-control to walk away from the situation. So this could bring up the question, does controlling our emotions coincide with our self-control towards our actions and how we behave? I believe that self-control has an effect on controlling our emotions. Self-control could, for example, affect anger. The more self-control a person possesses, the better they will be able to contain their anger. This could also apply to other emotions such as sadness. Again, the more self-control a person has, the better they will be able to contain their sadness. So ultimately, the better a person's self-control, the better they will be able to contain and control their emotions. However, of course, the less self-control a person has, the less they will be able to contain and control their emotions. Now, in contrast to the total control theory, there is the no control theory. The no control theory of emotions claims that you feel what you feel and there's nothing you or anyone can do about it. This is true in a sense because one's emotions and feelings sporadically comes out due to a certain event or action and by our brains. With that being said, the area of knowledge human sciences can apply to whether or not we can control our emotions because of our brains. The limbic system of the brain, which is highlighted in green in the picture, is a complex set of brain structures that lies on both sides of the thalamus, right under the cerebrum. The limbic system is primarily responsible for generating emotions. Coinciding with the limbic system is the frontal lobe of the brain. The frontal lobe of the brain helps to interpret emotion. So, in a sense, this could show us that we do not have control over emotions simply through our own will, and that our emotions are controlled by our brain. Way of knowing, sense perception. Determining whether or not we can control our emotions can also depend on one of the ways of knowing, sense perception. Let's say, for example, you're in a very upset mood and sad. Then you change your perception on things, like thinking of happy thoughts, and just like that, you go from being sad to happy. So ultimately, the way we perceive things could have an effect on how we control our emotions. However, there is a flaw with this, and it's that not everyone is so easily capable of changing their perception on certain things. Area of knowledge, history. In this quote, the Roman Stoic philosopher Epictetus says, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control and some things are not." About 2,000 years ago, the Roman Stoic philosopher Epictetus offered advice on how to control and regulate emotions by changing one's perceptions and thoughts. This relates back to aspects of cognitive therapy, the total control theory of emotions, and sense perception. According to these sources, controlling your emotions is all based on your perception and behavior towards your emotions. Now, people can and do regulate and quote-unquote control their emotions. Oftentimes, people control their emotions by decreasing negative emotions or increasing positive emotions. For example, a person may want to decrease negative emotions to be in a better mood and increase positive emotions. Or sometimes people even increase negative emotions, such as when athletes get angry to get pumped before an important match. Also, people tend to control and regulate their emotions in a lot of different ways. Typically, there are 5 ways in which emotions are controlled. The first one is situation selection. This refers to choosing which situations we do and don't get ourselves into based on what impact we think they will have on our emotions. The second is situation modification. This refers to doing things to change the situation we are in so that our emotions will change. The third is attentional deployment. This refers to how we're trying to change how we're attending to the situation so that our emotions will change. The fourth one is cognitive change. This approach relies on changing how one is thinking about the situation in order to change the emotions one has. The fifth and last one is response modulation. In this one, the person is trying to modify one or more of the emotional responses after the emotion is already underway. However, the flaw with this is that many people are not capable of easily bending and changing their emotions. This is especially for people with mental illnesses such as depression. A person with depression would have a much harder time trying to control and regulate their emotions because of the fact that their mind only keeps them focused on the emotion of sadness. In my opinion, there are ways to control emotions, but to a certain degree. I believe this simply because of personal experiences. I don't think that there is necessarily a way to prevent a certain emotion from occurring, but I do believe emotions can be controlled or regulated. I think controlling our emotions does heavily involve in being able to change our perception to things. For example, when you're sad, think of happy thoughts to make you happy, or when you're angry at someone because they insulted you, stop and think to yourself if they're really worth your time, calm yourself down, and walk away from the situation. Lastly, I believe that one big aspect to controlling our emotions is learning to accept things the way they are. For example, a person who had just gone through a breakup could easily contain their emotions if they accept that what happened happened and just move on. But of course, controlling emotions also depends on the person and their ability and how they cope with their emotions.